Okay, so here we go. Two simple questions we are asking on this show. One is what India needs to do, and two, will we stop preparing wickets which make things a lottery and where our bowlers do not get to use their skill set? Will India stop making such pitches? Will India stop making these kind of mistakes? Or will we kind of take our ego on and keep pushing the bar, saying, no, we have now mastered ourselves in tailor made wickets, which are ranked turners, lottery, whatever way you want to describe them? And will we see something similar in Guwahati yet again, where India try and overcome this mental barrier? Joining us, Gargi Rao, Shomik Chakraborty, Devashish Sen, and of course Bharat Ramraj. Shomik, you were there at Eden. Gargi was there at Eden. Devashish was there at Eden. Bharat joined us from Bengaluru. First thoughts from you, Shomik. What do you reckon? Gautam coming and saying this is a wicket we wanted. We know that Gautam is a headstrong man. Do you see this same template continuing, that they will try to overcome this and try and win and overcome the mental fragility that Indian team currently is showing? Or do you see a departure? Do you see a departure from this, going back to good wickets, backing your bowlers and batters to deliver? Where do you stand on this, Shomik Chakraborty?
First of all, I mean, you have taken the word from my mouth, headstrong. That is the word. That is the key word, in fact. I mean, last year we won against England 4-1 at home, playing on good pitches. This summer in England, we drew the series 2-2, playing on classic pitches. Yesterday, Gautam Gambhir said this was exactly the pitch we wanted, number one, and then sort of blamed the players for not having the required temperament. Not having, he said 124 was chaseable, and he sort of, I mean, he didn't name them, but he said you just needed technique and temperament to get over the line. Now, I mean, you have over the last 12 months, you have lost 4 home tests out of 6. This is a diabolical record. If this doesn't, I mean, prompt you to change your template as far as the pitch is concerned, there is a problem. I totally agree with Chiteshwar Pujara, what he said yesterday, that, I mean, transition in losing matches in India uh, under the pretext of transition is a lame excuse. You lose in England, you lose in Australia, and say we are going through transition. That is acceptable, but in India it is not acceptable. I mean, after that back-to-back whitewashes in England and Australia, 2011-12. When we came back to India and we once again went through transition, Shikhar Dhawan and others came to the fold and we decimated Australia on our home patch. Transition on home patch is a completely lame excuse. This team needs to trust their bowling unit a little more. They have a world-class bowling attack spearheaded by Jasprit Bumrah. Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, Ravindra Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav. They're world-class exponents of their craft. So they are not trusting the spin bowlers. And if you know that these guys don't have the required temperament, then why choose lottery? I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't absolutely add up. It doesn't. There is another issue that is left-handers overload, but I will come to that later.
Devashish, your thoughts? Do you see change, or do you see Gautam Gambhir and the team management going with the same template, trying to undo this mental fragility aspect that is impacting them? Do you see good wickets, or do you see the same template going forward?
I don't see any reason why the Indian team do not go in favor of playing on a good surface, because we saw it as Shomik just said, that we saw it what Indian team, this same Indian team can do despite the absence of Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma or Ravichandran Ashwin. They fought against England and exceptionally well. So, but will Gautam Gambhir surrender? I doubt, because he is a man who has certain strong belief. So I think he will try and prove it a point by making yet another tournament. So obviously, but now if you produce a good wicket in Guwahati, and yes, I'm saying that if the match goes on to India goes on to win, yes, India might win a series, but in that case, that will establish the fact that Gautam Gambhir was wrong. Gautam Gambhir was wrong in choosing a Turner here at the Eden Gardens, which was not an ideal surface to play on. But there is also questions to be asked as to why India experimented with going in with an extra spinner, four spinners in Indian subcontinent. In home conditions, you go in with four spinners. I think that is one too many, and also the fact that you need to groom a number three batter, and someone in the mold of Sai Sudarshan, because it would have and what it does now with not picking him for the Eden Gardens test is it dashes his confidence. So I would rather see him. That probably might be the only change, assuming that Shubman Gill is not available. If he is available, then obviously is this. But going in with four spinners in Guwahati, just irrespective of the wicket, I would say it's one too many. That has not, very rare that has happened in India.
Nari, same question before I go to Bharat. Two parts. In defense of the Indian team, and no excuses, I'm making this point amply clear. If I see sport, any sport, if it's a team sport, if you are playing 10 against 11, then it's a problem. If you take football, if you're playing a team of 10 against 11 men, problem. If you see hockey, that is why the Great Britain victory in the Paris Olympic Games is hailed as one of the greatest of all time, because India played with 10 men for 43 minutes after minute number 17, when Amit Rohidas was shown the red card.
Yes.
Now, the point is, in this case, in all fairness, India was down to 10 men. Shubman Gill did not bat in either innings of the test match. Now, if the management turns up and says, oh, you know what? Yes, we batted badly, but it is also true that we had one man less, our captain less, who's our best batter. Had he been there, the difference of 30 runs, he would have scored 15-15. One expects Shubman Gill to do that. Is that something that we must take into account when we are being extremely critical of the Indian team?
It must absolutely be taken into account. We had this conversation in extensive detail when we were having lunch on the first day as well, and on the day three as well. But my point here is, yes, you were one batter short, and I keep saying this, that yes, there are multiple factors involved, and Shubman Gill not being there is one of the biggest factors, because if you look back on the first innings, you do realize that you were 20 to 30 runs short. Now, at least off of those 20-30, Shubman Gill could have made 15, he could have made 10. Now, in Test cricket, every run matters. Remember the kind of damage that Temba Bavuma and Corbin Bosch partnership made.
Correct.
Now, my point is, when I look back and I think I've had a night's sleep, there are multiple factors involved. But till day three, India was in control.
Yeah.
I still maintain that this was a good team to go in with for the kind of surface that we were seeing built. We saw it all very closely. We were talking to the pitch curator. We were talking to sources, what the management is thinking. And according to all of that, I came to the conclusion that this is actually a good team to go in with. And the tweet that I made, that this is one of the most intelligent team selections that we've seen, is because you were able to go in with a Kuldeep Yadav, who could have given you a lot of purchase on the first 2 days of the test match, because we were not expecting it to dry out that early. You were able to get in a Dhruv Jurel in the team, who was coming off of 2 back-to-back centuries. He made himself accessible. You were able to include Washington Sundar, who is again also undroppable, and you accommodated him at number 3. So when you look at all these factors, this was a great team to go in with. Not a long-term team, but for this test, yes. But looking back on it, day 3 in the morning, India was in control until they weren't. Those bowling changes that were made, not starting with Jasprit Bumrah, letting that partnership get away, that was one of the biggest mistakes of that day. And then second, when we get to the kind of batting that we saw, the lack of application, the lack of patience, the lack of that characteristic that we see in Test cricket batters of grinding it out is what is lacking. I kept telling Ashok, I was sitting with him, take the entire day. It's 124 runs, and this is a tricky pitch. Take the entire day, block out things. I don't know, but it wasn't humongous total to get to.
Bharat, your thoughts? Same questions. Do you reckon India will change the template? And do you reckon that the absence of Shubman Gill is something we are actually not giving enough importance to? His presence, at least innings number 1, would have increased India's lead and made things comparatively much safer. 50-run window, 60-run cushion would have made things much different. Bharat Ramraj.
Yeah, ideally India should change the templates because I don't think in the DRS era India have the required personnel or the required skill set to handle spin. That's what I'm seeing. If you notice how someone like Rohit Sharma used to bat in the DRS era, I wrote a copy on it. He would take a step or two, try to smother the spin, or what he would do is try to bring that 3 meter LBW rule into the equation to put the seeds of doubt in the umpire's head that yes, you can't give a batsman out LBW even in the DRS era. So I don't think India have that kind of batters, barring Rishabh Pant, who can play the sweep stroke, can play the reverse sweep. So I think India should definitely change the template. Although yesterday I think India missed a trick. Yes, starting with not starting with Bumrah, but even when they batted, see when you're chasing a target of 120, 124 or whatever it is in those conditions, then you need to the runs are premium. It's not that you are playing for a draw. So you needed someone to score a little bit quicker. After 33 overs, India were 77 for 7. They were not going anywhere. I would rather see India getting all out for 110 than scoring 77 for 7 of 33 overs. I don't think India took their chances. They went into a shell and on a pitch that was very difficult. One delivery would definitely get you out. You can't defend forever in those conditions. So yes, India should change the template because I think they don't have the advantage of the past where they could play on treacherous surfaces and they still had enough very good batters of spin who could handle spin bowling and they had an advantage there. As far as Gill is concerned, obviously when you're playing 10 versus 11, it really matters because you are at a disadvantage, and this Gill is a pretty decent player of spin as well, and he definitely would have made some kind of an impact. But I think India have larger problems when it comes to playing spin in spin-friendly climes. They have lost 3 test matches now: Pune, Wankhede, and Kolkata, where there was enough assistance for spinners. In my 33 years of watching cricket, I don't remember India losing 3 test matches in a row on spin-friendly surfaces.
Okay. Shomik, there are multiple super chats. You take this one. Shomik Da in the PC, you directly asked Gigi that Pant's captaincy and his batting versus spin was vulnerable despite him being best test batter of this decade. Starting with spinner might be Gigi's call. I think it's more of a comment rather than a question, but Shomik, you want to address that?
See,
Ayush Jindal.
first of all, I we have written this copy. I wrote this copy at lunch yesterday. I asked this to Gautam, and Gautam said tactically we are absolutely fine. If someone stays in denial, what you can do? Jasprit Bumrah, your best bowler, and once Jasprit Bumrah in the 12.3 overs, in the 13th over of the day on day three, we got that breakthrough after a 44-run, 8 wicket partnership. That was the game changer. I understood Ravindra Jadeja bowling from the clubhouse end. From that end, he took 4 wickets. That is absolutely fine. From the other end, you start off with your best bowler. It is Test cricket is not a game for the bits and pieces players. Akshar Patel is a fantastic player as far as the white ball cricket is concerned. But Test cricket is meant for the specialists. Jasprit Bumrah is your best bowler for heaven's sake, who is fresh from a 5-4 in the first innings on this pitch. And in the press conference, you are contradicting yourself, saying that the fast bowlers got the majority of the wickets. Then why didn't? And once again, you are saying tactically we are absolutely fine. As regards Rishabh Pant, I'm not going into just 2 runs of 12 balls, whatever. He went into a shell, and the thing is that it was not his natural game. Maybe he wanted to bide his time, but the way he looked vulnerable against Spain, I have never seen that. I mean, it felt like he could get out at every delivery. He got a reprieve. The row of the green went his way when that DRS call went in favor of him. That said, it felt like he was getting out of every delivery. I have never seen him that vulnerable. That's why I asked Gautam the question. But then again, the head coach, needs to get out of his denial mode.
Devashish, take the next one. By the way, let's give an update on Gill and then I'll go to Devashish on this. The update on Gill is obviously he has been released, but from what I understand from having spoken to multiple specialists, Gill needs 5 days of rest. That's what has been prescribed at least. if it's 5 days of rest that has been prescribed, he has been let off or he has been released from the nursing home yesterday night, the hospital. So if it was yesterday was the 16th. So if I take 5 days, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21, that's the rest prescribed. The Guwahati test match starts on the 22nd. So effectively, one day after his rest period, which has been prescribed, is over. Devashish Sen, would you want to risk a Shubman Gill who has just about recovered? Obviously, he will have very little time to practice or no time to practice because he will have to take rest. He is weak. And by the time that he was released from nursing home, let me also tell you this, that he was not pain free. There was pain. He was let out because they wanted to let him go. There's no fear, there's no panic. But the fact is, he wasn't 100%. There was still pain. So, with prescription of 5 days rest, not entirely pain free, do you risk Shubman Gill in Guwahati? And if you don't, who do you play? Because if you play Sai or Devdutt, who are both there, then it's everybody who is a left-hander. I'm sure you will have to do that. But then in the top order, look at it: Jaiswal, a Sai or a Devdutt, a Washington, a Rishabh Pant, a Ravindra Jadeja, and Akshar Patel. You have 6 left-handers in your top 8, Devashish Sen.
No, I would rather, with the series in line, I would rather love to see Shubman Gill making a comeback, making it into the playing 11, because clearly Rishabh Pant's captaincy has found wanting, especially with not using Bumrah at the start on day 3, and that was a big mistake, I would say. And also the fact that means with the other batters struggling on the Eden Gardens, it clearly shows that you need solidity at the top order. Yes, and with 5 days of rest, I think, and then Shubman Gill does not need much practice. Means the quality he brings to the table, I think he can automatically get himself in. So I would rather go for a Shubman Gill, because not only you have a captain, and that would do a world of good to the confidence of the side, and also you have a solid number 4 batter, which was missing in that test loss at Eden Gardens.
Gargi, same question. Devashish reckons that he's your captain. He needs to step up. Yes, he will not be 100%. Series on the line. We've seen that in the past. So there is merit in what Devashish is saying, that we have seen captains step up. We have seen players step up. Rishabh Pant in England, Anil Kumble in the past, Chris Wokes. There are 1 million examples of people coming out not being 100%. But at the start of a test match, this is not in the middle of a test match. At the start of a test match, do you go in with a Shubman Gill and risk him again? Because again, you have white ball cricket straight after. You got continuous cricket. Do you do that? Or do you go in with somebody else, either a Devdutt or a Sai? Because then again, that whole left-hand issue comes in. Where do you stand on that?
I wouldn't risk Shubman Gill. I would not want him to play. Going by not the severity, we don't know the severity of the issue at the moment, what exactly happened. But and BCCI has not revealed any reports or the details of the injury. But at the same time, looking at the kind of injury that he has, this is not an external injury. This is not a broken bone. What we're looking at is an injury or an issue in the cervical area. And I would much rather have Shubman Gill sit out for one test than risk him for the entirety of the series, because unfortunately there was this CCTV footage that was released when Shubman Gill was walking out of the hospital, and he did not look comfortable at all. He was still walking with that very, very straight gait where he was not moving his neck at all. And if 5 days rest is prescribed and we're saying that the pain is still there, I will not risk Shubman Gill. I'm sorry, he's your test captain and test cricket is his best format. So I would much rather have him sit out this test, completely recover from the injury, and then make a comeback. I know it's an important game. I know, especially after the context of having lost the first test match, but I'm not risking Shubman Gill.
Bharat, this one is an interesting one. I know where Devashish is coming from. I understand where Gargi is coming from. Sachin Tendulkar, 2004 Australia test match. He went and said, I have to play this test match come what may. The doctors finally asked him, why are you saying this? How important is this test match? He said, it is more important than my own wedding. Exact quote from Sachin Tendulkar. We have seen this in the past, players pushing themselves. But on the other side, what she is saying, Shubman Gill is your white ball, the ODI captain. And again, ODI cricket is 2 days or 3 days later after this series. after the test match. Then it's the T20 series. This guy is your vice captain. A World Cup is round the corner. Intense cricket for the next 2 months. Where do you stand on this, Bharat Ramraj? A tricky call for India with the 4-5 day rest that has been prescribed. But let us also put this on record. The BCCI has not officially said it. This is based on our sources, but we know that 4-5 days of rest has been prescribed. We also know that there is no reason to panic. So people who said ICU and all of that was wrong. It was a bed, a monitored bed with ICU facilities. That's all that Shubman Gill needed. At no point was he being transferred into an ICU with people around him and patients who are in critical care. That was never the case. So keeping all of that in mind, being realistic, where do you stand on it, Bharat Ramraj?
Yeah, it's a tricky question, definitely. To start with, see, it's a 5 day test match. It's not about batting for some 20 overs, or for the matter, maybe in 50 over cricket, you would go to bat for some 10-15 overs. So, just to bat for longer periods. So, he has to, the doctors as well as Shubman Gill himself, they have to be sure that he's 100% fit, or at least 90% fit, close to 100% fitness, that he can go on to play the second test. Otherwise, in my humble opinion, perhaps better to not take a risk and let others try to prove their worth. Yes, if Shubman Gill feels that he's somewhere close to fitness, if he, as a leader, he wants to lead from the front and he wants to really push himself, I think Shubman Gill himself can go ahead and say that, yes, I want to play this test match. And if a player feels that way, then I'm pretty sure the doctors as well as the management will kind of agree that a player himself is telling that. But in a holistic manner, I would say it's better for Shubman Gill to take a little bit of rest, miss that second test match, because it is about 5 days of play, not 50 overs or a T20 game.
Shomik, I'll give you that same question. Quickly, give me a 1 minute answer, no more, because I've got to take quite a few questions and go to each one of you in the next last 10 minutes of the show. So quick answer on Shubman Gill. Where do you stand on it, Shomik? Do you risk your captain? Because again, as I said, there's no sort of black and white in this. I understand what Devashish said. I also understand what Gargi and Bharat are saying.
To start with, I don't know the extent of injury as far as Shubman Gill is concerned. Knowing him, he is a strong character. If he feels he can play, he will play. Unless it is absolutely impossible, he will try to play. He will push the envelope. That he will do. But if he is not playing, which means it is not possible for him, and he doesn't. At this moment in time, he is hurting, and every professional carries this guilt. That I was recovering in the hospital. My team went down, and if my presence would have help the team get over the line. At this moment in time, he's hurting. So that feeling will prompt him to push the envelope. But if it is absolutely impossible, he will not play. But Shubman is a strong character. Just one thing, that irrespective of Shubman playing or not, the Indian team, Ajit Agarkar-led selection committee, should incorporate Rituraj Gaikwad or Sarfaraz Khan into the squad, because at number 3, you need a right-hander to negate an off spinner. 6 left-handers against an off spinner, you are that is working to your disadvantage.
But then, Shomik, quick question. What about Sai and Devdutt? You've already got them in the squad. What message are you sending?
No, that is horses for courses. Horses for courses. I mean, Sai is, what my sources tell me, that they are going to drop. I will have to cross-check. They are going to leave out Akshar Patel at Guwahati, irrespective of the nature of the pitch. And maybe Sai, they will bring back Sai. But there should be options. If Sai comes, that doesn't negate, that doesn't cancel out, or that doesn't solve your left-handers overload problem. Simon Harmer took 8 wickets at Eden Gardens, and 6 of them were left-handers, right? Against left-handers, on turners, you can turn the ball across them. So always it is advantage the off-spinner. So Rituraj Gaikwad is in tremendous form of late. He can be a very good number 3. Sarfaraz, we know he's a domestic cricket thoroughbred. He plays spin well. So the pragmatic call, horses for courses call would be, and they are specialists. So pragmatic and horses for courses call would be to incorporate either Rituraj or Sai into the squad.
Okay, Devashish Sen, plenty of questions. Let's take some in the next 7-8 minutes before we close. Satwik Bagaria, things are going to be tough for India from here because Kuldeep is leaving for his wedding, won't be available for the second test. Has it been made public that Kuldeep will not be available? Who said that? I've not heard it.
There are speculations, that's all.
Come on. Kuldeep has to play. It's as simple as that. I mean, from what I had also known, that the wedding was the last. I mean, after the second test, that's what I had been told. Kuldeep not wanting to play, and yes, players are doing it, but I don't know, Satvik. I don't know whether it has been made public or not. Devashish Sen, do you have any news on this?
No, Borida, I don't have any news, but I think he should play. He should play. Means country comes first. Means obviously you are playing a test match at home, and with the series at stake, you you've got to play. Means, but I really don't know whether is not available. But
I mean, Devashish, I would have understood had this been prefixed long back. Clearly, it is not prefixed. It is not something that is set in stone. It is not something that all of a sudden Kuldeep Yadav is telling the BCCI, oh, 6 months back my date was fixed, so I cannot play. It's not like that. So why would you not play a home test match? I mean, after a defeat like this, you would not want to play a test match and leave the team and fix something. I don't kind of get that. I don't think Kuldeep Yadav will want to do that either. Let me give you another one. Will Sai and Rohan Yole, Sai or Padikkal, in place of Shubman and Aksar? Devashish Sen.
Sai Sudarshan Bodiada any day. Means someone who has been tried in England and also in the series against West Indies. You need to groom your number 3 batter. Means yes, there will be failures. And with experience he will only get better. So I think when you are investing in someone, you ought to give that confidence in the youngster by giving him more matches. And then what's the point of him practicing? Means obviously Gautam Gambhir, we were all present at Eden Gardens. Gargi, me, Shomikda, Shubhan, we were all there at Eden Gardens. What's the point of having long sessions in the middle with the batting coach and the head coach? It comes down to nothing. If you're not giving the youngster that long rope, he needs to be groomed, and it is more important, more so because India always perhaps had great number 3 batters in the likes of Rahul Dravid or Acheteshwar Pujara, but I think they're definitely this is a weak link in the Indian batting lineup. Given that we need to see 2 points. One is the number 3 batter, and another is a right arm leg spinner. I think if India needs to do well in home and away, India needs to unearth a wrist spinner, which is lacking. Means if you look at the top teams, everyone has a leg spinner. I think this is where India is missing. Means India needs to immediately get in a quality leg spinner in the side.
Bharat, two parts to the. But firstly, news-wise, by the way, folks, India is practicing at 9:30 a.m. in Calcutta. So a lot of you who are watching the show, India is actually practicing at 9:30 a.m. in Calcutta. From what I understand, it will be center wicket practice. It will be center wicket practice, so they will get ready for Guwahati. The team has stayed behind in Calcutta. Gautam Gambhir has, I think, cancelled leave also for something like that. I don't exactly know what, but they are from 9:30 a.m. The team, let's put it out, that 9:30 a.m. the team will be practicing in Calcutta. There will be no press conference, and Shomik, Devashish, and Gargi will be there at the Eden Gardens to cover it. So India clearly wants to use that extra day now that they have it to train ahead of that Guwahati test match on a turner. The second point, Temba Bavuma, only praise. He's absolute character, this man. After all of what he's gone through to bring South Africa here. But Bharat Ramraj, the same kind of question. I mean, a lot of people have asked this. Priyanshu is asking the nature of the surface. Difficult to say. But Guwahati, practically no sense, Bharat. Only T20s and ODIs. Fresh 5-day first match ever. How do you kind of manage that? I know Ashish Bhaumik is in Guwahati to prepare the wicket or oversee the preparation of the wicket, Bharat Ramraj. But do you see multiple changes in the team? Shomik said no, Akshar Patel, come what may.
As far as changes are concerned, again, it depends on the kind of conditions that you would get, I guess, in Guwahati. Maybe India went in with one spinner too many, 4 spinners. When you go in with 4 spinners, what usually happens is one of the spinners tends to get underbowled. But again, I don't see India dropping Washington Sundar because Gautam Gambhir has great faith in him, and Akshar Patel has to play because he's a good player of spin. Even if you don't count his spin bowling, he's actually one of your better players of spin with a bat in hand. So I don't see too many changes from that. perspective. Yes, Guwahati, it's difficult to predict what kind of pitch we'll get uh, because there's not much history, very little history when it comes to obviously Test cricket. I think India will again go with a spin-friendly surface. Looking at how what Gautam Gambhir said and looking at their thinking, and in that case, I think they have to basically win the toss. Hopefully, win the toss and bat first, because as I noted, compared to some other lineups from the past, I'm not very sure this particular Indian lineup has that quality in the batting to have the advantage of in terms of playing spin.
Okay, let me give Gargi one and then Shomik one and close the show. I'll answer one. Siddharth, do you think, Siddharth is asking, do you think, Boryada, that BCCI care for the health of Test cricket? Look, in England, Australia, they project any series to complete with Wimbledon and Australian Open. Here, our motive is to get sandpit. Hello. How many Test matches on Australia continued to day 5, my friend? Brisbane was the rained out. Perth was 2.5 days. Sydney was 2.5 days. So almost all the pitches in Australia, except MCG, I think 4 days, three and a half. Three and a half days in MCG, 2.5 days in Sydney, 2.5 days in Perth, or 3 days in Perth.
Only the England series.
Only the England series stands out as 5 days, Siddharth.
Yeah.
That is why it was such a great treat. Australia also, South Africa, Cape Town, 2.5 days in January of 2024. So there are multiple examples. Don't pull up the BCCI and don't pull up only India in this. Yes, this was a poor wicket, but it's not just India that is doing this. Gargi, you take this one.
Lost the comment.
Simon, the too many comments. Okay, the Simon Harmer comment. He's a beast. I don't think. Where is Shubhan? Is he busy proving that this series is irrelevant? Shubhan is actually covering domestic cricket, okay? So,
Wow.
Pochetash Ghosh, please, you must understand that. What kind of surface will we see in Guwahati? Okay, there is a super chat. वो ले लेते हैं because
इधर ही
we will
मिल
miss it.
जाएगा. Where are you going?
Boryada, reason did India will play in spin wicket because South Africa chased 417 with Siraj, Prasidh and Kuldeep. Okay, so they will panic. So basically, turning wicket with the example.
I don't see the reason of panicking, because go back just a few months and go back to England. They were sporting wickets. They were not wickets that were turning quite a lot, or rather, nothing. They were nothing like the kind of wicket that we rolled out in the New Zealand series or in Eden as well. And who did your job for you? Your specialist did your job for you. Jasprit Bumrah did the job. Mohammad Siraj did the job. Shubman Gill did the job. Rishabh Pant did the job. So I think what happened in the New Zealand series, plus I think there's also a very recent factor of West Indies pushing India to day 5 after Shubman Gill, or rather whoever was behind that decision of enforcing that follow on. I think it has scarred the Indian team, and going forward, which is what has made them sort of not trust their bowlers, not trust their specialists, and go with underprepared wickets, go with spin tracks where they expect that the opposition will roll over. But that's not always the case. South Africa is a champion team. They have 3 very, very good spinners. We saw what Simon Harmer did. So if India is expecting that the opposition will just roll over, that's not going to happen. I think there is a lack of trust in specialists. There is also a lack of trust in the bowlers. We saw that all happening unravel in front of our eyes in this first test. So that's where the problem is lying. I think he's right by saying I don't think they're panicking, but I think they're not trusting their team enough.
That's what we've written also, that they're not trusting the bowlers enough. Shomik Chakraborty, final question. Word on the Eden crowd. And do you reckon the crowd has done enough for Kolkata to get a test match against Australia? 120,000 people at a time when we were saying, test crowds don't come. Brilliant crowds. Absolutely brilliant crowds at the Eden Gardens. Yesterday, people knew that in 3 hours the game will end. 4 hours the game will end. 45,000 people turning up. Brilliant crowds. Shomik Chakraborty.
100%. And that's why Eden Gardens is one of the most storied venues in the world. And as I have written before the start of the Calcutta test, that is Lords or the G going into a 6 year of test hiatus. Can you imagine that? I mean, it doesn't happen. So Eden Gardens is Eden Gardens. This is the most storied venue in the country. But one interesting information about the center wicket. as India would be practicing on the center wicket tomorrow. And I have written a copy last evening also. Once the game was over, it was around quarter to six, and the team buses had left long ago. The ground staff were watering that center wicket vigorously. So, if we are allowed to join the dots, maybe because if one India wanted to train on a rank turner on a dust bowl, they wouldn't have asked. The message wouldn't have been sent. The message that would have been sent not to water the pitch at all, and it would have been left like that. But they were vigorously watering the surface. That center square, they are vigorously watering the surface. So maybe, just maybe, finally, it has dawned on the Indian team management that the better pitches are India's best bet against any kind of opposition because they have a world class bowling. Let's see what it happens again. But once again, and coming to the team composition, what my sources said, I don't see Akshar. I don't see Akshar in Guwahati.
Okay,
Can I
we'll
just
be
add a
back
point?
at 5 p.m. because
Small
by
point.
then things will have moved quite a bit. We will get more information on Shubman Gill, on the Indian team. What about the practice plans? What about the other plans? And let me also tell you that Devashish Sen and Shomik Chakraborty are on their way to Guwahati day after tomorrow. So you will have all of the updates from Guwahati with our two reporters from on ground. So we will give you maximum coverage from Guwahati as well. And let me also say this, that every match, whether it is an ODI, whether it is a T20, we will have Rev Sports reporters, be it Devashish, be it Gargi, be it Shomik, be it Bharat Ramraj, be it Shubhayan Chakraborty, be it Rohit Juglan, anybody. All of our reporters will be traveling over the next 2 months. Every match against South Africa, against New Zealand, will be covered from on ground, starting with
Yes.
Guwahati. You've seen the kind of coverage that we have given you in Kolkata. So see you back at 5 p.m. Plenty more questions, I'm sure, will be up by then. Continue to watch our
Guys,
coverage. You have a Lothar Matthäus interview, which is already up there. Lothar saying lovely things about football, and was great to talk to Lothar. There is hockey coverage in the Baton Cup. That is also out there. So multi-sport with boxing, with chess, with hockey, with football, and of course with cricket. That's what we
And
stand for, and that's what we will continue.
before you sign off, you went to yeah, you as our captain, you went to Eden Gardens, did the live, started the live at 8:30 a.m. and at 10 p.m. you were doing that Lothar Matthäus interview. My word, I was
So
just
I
watching,
had the option. So all in a day's work. I did cricket, football, and hockey all in one day. So
and
I
no,
was I stayed
8:30.
home.
Your day started, as far as coverage is concerned, at 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 p.m. we are doing that Lothar Matthäus interview.
Devashish
I
was
just
with me.
wish I,
Devashish was with
I,
me at the Taj. He was with me
I,
at the dinner. See, look, ultimately it's sport, Shomik. It's not about I am doing hockey, I am doing football, I am doing cricket. It's
it's
in my city, it's in our city. And by the way, I'll put this on record. All of the stuff that I've done was pro bono. Baton Cup was pro bono. The Lothar Matthäus event was pro bono. So I'm not making money. I was doing it because I love sport, because the people who are organizing Hockey Bengal and the government of Bengal, whether it's Shujit Bose or Arup Biswas, the two ministers, they had requested me to do it. So I went and did it because Baton Cup is an important tournament, and I tried to play a part. The people who are organizing Lothar, it's for Bengal football, district football. Rahul Todi, Tomal Ghoshal, and the rest of the people who are doing that, they're again my friends. So I had to go and do that. That's what it is. Yes, by the time I came home, I couldn't speak. I was that tired, but it's all in a day's
I,
work. So
I
thank you so
just
much.
wish the young reporters, budding reporters, they draw inspiration from this. That is my point. I just wish budding reporters draw inspiration.
It's not about anybody, Shomik. Let's forget about all that. But let's, as a team, Devashish went to Eden early. You went to Eden early. Gargi was doing that. All of our reporters, Bharat. See, the fact is, we as a team, we do our sport seriously. It's not about me. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it is my moral and responsibility to lead by example. Because once you set examples, then you can actually demand that kind of commitment from the team. That's what we were doing. We did football, we did hockey, we did cricket to the best of our ability. And yes, kindly watch the coverage. The problem is you only watch cricket coverage, and then you guys come and say, "Hey, why is hockey not being covered? Why is football not being covered? Why is boxing not being covered?" We are the only platform that's doing it. Go check one other platform and show us the breadth of our coverage. No one exists, and no one will exist in India, is what my understanding is. We are now a team of 54. 54 people here at Rev Sports. On the 1st of December, I will announce something major on our foundation day. So watch out for that. Thank you very much for watching.